Hey guys, I'm the Amazing World of Autistic Fanboy 2002 here, and today I'm reviewing 28 Days Later. Came out in 2002, 23 years ago. Also, this is the exact same year I was born, so it tells the story of in a secret lab where the chimps are contagious, carrying a rage virus until these group of lads break into a lab and then to see what they to see how the chimps were infected, and then the researcher warned them that the researcher warns those people that the chimps are infected, but they didn't listen, and all of a sudden the infected chimp attacks one of the breakers, and then all of a sudden they get infected, and then it goes to the title card, and then you have the character named Jim, played by Cillian Murphy, Tom Shelby himself from Peaky Blinders. This came out 11 years before Peaky Blinders, so yeah, and Jim is all alone in the hospital, and then he packs up all the things he needs so he doesn't starve to death, and he walks around London calling for help, and there's no answer, and then he wanders around London for so long, and he went into a church and there's a pile of bodies, and then all of a sudden the priest was infected and he had to get away from the priest, and then more infected started chasing him until he was saved by those other two survivors. Jim wasn't the only survivor, and he meets up, and those two survivors that he was saved by when the gas station exploded were Mark and Selena. Not Selena from Men in Black 2. Yeah, Men in Black 2 came out the same year, 2002. And also Naruto came out in 2002 as well. So Mark and Selena and Jim went around London to see Jim's parents, and all of a sudden Jim's parents were dead, and then Jim cries because their parents died peacefully, and then also when Jim was watching a tape of his parents, all of a sudden the infected attacked Jim, and then all of a sudden Mark gets infected by the rage, and then after he killed the rage zombie, and then so he had to kill off Mark, and then during their journey to London to Manchester, they find an apartment, and then they see as they walked up, all of a sudden they heard the infected coming to them, and they have to escape upstairs, and then they meet up with Frank and Hannah. And then as they journey on through outside of London and all the way to Manchester, they went shopping, and then they had to get more fuel for the taxi cab, and then all of a sudden when Jim walked into an abandoned restaurant which smelled, and there was an infected child, and then he returned outside, and then as they went to south of Manchester, they had to find a way in, and then all of a sudden the crow was feasting on something, and then the crow was infected, and a bit of the rage blood dripped onto Frank's eye, and then Frank gets infected, and then all of a sudden the soldiers manage to rescue them, and then they take them to the mansion, and they meet up with Major Henry West, played by Christopher Eccleston. Yep, which you know him in Cracker and Thor the Dark World, Doctor Who, and G.I. Joe. Yeah, Christopher Eccleston was in a lot of movies and TV shows, and he was also the Ninth Doctor in Doctor Who, was Christopher Eccleston. And then they meet up with the soldiers until one of the soldiers was being infected and it was kept outside, and then all of a sudden, when they had tea, the infected were about to attack the mansion, and then they managed to defeat the infected, and then all of a sudden, then they were being manipulated by Henry and his men. Yeah, the soldiers were manipulating them, and then Jim, Selina, and Hannah had to escape, and then all of a sudden, they had to take Pharrell and Jim, and then all of a sudden Pharrell gets shot, and then Jim managed to escape, and then Jim runs his way back to the mansion to save Selina and Hannah, and then Jim frees the infected soldier and starts going on a rampage to infect the other soldiers, and then Jim managed to defeat some of Henry's men, and then, thank God, and then all of a sudden, no, I'm not done yet. We'll get to that bit soon. As they're about to escape, Henry was in the taxi, and then, thankfully, Henry got defeated. Henry West. Well, I see. He fucking deserves it. Thank God he got infected by the zombie. Well, he deserves it. Yeah, what I think of Henry West? I see. I had no faith in that character already. To be honest, I did not like that character. That guy is a fucking weasel. So, Soldier Henry West, the main antagonist of the movie. To be honest, I did not like that character. That guy's an absolute weasel. By the way, 28 Days Later came out the same year as Bourne Identity with Matt Damon. That came out 23 years ago. So, the movie ends when they go outside and they see a jet, and then and that's how the film ends. So,